Gentlemen, and welcome to City Hall, 790 Homestead Boulevard. It is now 5:15 in the evening, and we're about to start our Community Redevelopment Agency meeting. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Board Member Faircloth McCormick, absent. Board Member Maldonado, absent. Board Member Shelley.
Here.
Board Member Wallman. Here. Board Member Williams.
Here.
Vice Chairman Burgess.
Here.
Chairman Bateman.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Deletions and/or deferrals? Hearing none, seeing none. Discussion on tab 1, card number 700, funding requests for Homestead Dr. Martin Luther King celebration.
Move it. Second.
Thank you. Discussion, comments? Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor?
Well, Mayor, is there staff report on it?
Yes.
Oh, sure, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the
Trying to
board.
get down this done.
I know.
You know what it's all about.
CRA staff is requesting direction regarding a request from New Vision for South Data Inc. for support of 2 events to be held in conjunction with the 30th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Parade and Festival in Homestead and Florida City. The events are the 2013 MLK Youth Concert for Justice, Peace, and Equality in Losner Park, $2,750. The MLK Movie Night in the Park, which will be held in Blakey Park, for $1,700. The total funding request is $4,450.
Okay, questions from council? Okay, hearing no questions from council. All in favor? Aye. Nays? Item carries. All right, card number 696, Carrie Meeks Center update. Staff report?
On August 9, 2011, the Homestead Community Redevelopment Agency entered into a lease agreement with the Business and Technology Development Corporation for the operation of the Carrie P. Meeks Center. Pursuant to Section 1.2 of the lease, the term expired on September 30, 2012. Pursuant to Section 1.3 of the lease, upon the September 30, 2012 expiration of the lease, BTDC was required to immediately surrender the center to the CRA in good and clean condition. Furthermore, other issues pertaining to the management of the center and the lease have come to staff's attention. Pursuant to a September 28, 2012 Florida Department of Financial Services stop work order, BTDC has not been permitted to enter the center and is prohibited from providing services to the businesses residing therein. BTDC's IRS 501c3 status has been revoked. BTDC is delinquent on its utility bills in the amount of $4,350.77. Staff met with BTDC's management to discuss these issues on October 2nd, 2012. At the meeting, specific documentation to address these issues was requested, which they agreed to provide to the CRA within 20 days. BTDC failed to do so. Staff will proceed to notify BTDC to vacate the premises immediately. The CRA will maintain the operation of the facility as a business incubator while a new manager is identified.
Okay. Discussion?
Now, you read that mighty fast. You wanted me to catch all that?
I can read sections of it slower if you'd like.
Well, I think what I guess what I need understanding of, so I'm clear of what the discussion is tonight, because as I'm looking, I guess I just need some clarity on how we got here and where we go from here, from there, because upon my arrival tonight, I've been in receipt of 2 letters, one from Dennis Moss's office, and then one that the mayor has just given me from the Honorable Carrie Meek. So with those 2 letters have just entered, and then of course what your update, and then what city manager has updated me over the course of time. So with these new arrivals, where we are now. So I guess that's what my question is, and where we
Sure.
go.
First of all, Councilman, I have not seen the second letter, so I just maybe 10 minutes ago saw the first letter. Basically, where we're at now is our intent is to evict the current operator, and what we plan to do in the interim until we come back to you with a recommendation for a new operator is to, in essence, manage the facility utilizing CRA staff until we can come back to you with a recommendation. The problem right now is that there's a stop work order that's been issued. We have companies in the building that are headquartered there that need to operate there, and there's really nobody there right now that's allowed by state to operate this center. And so, unless there's an objection from the board, the intent is to notify the current operator to, in essence, remove their belongings. And we don't have a lease with them right now. It's been expired the last couple of months, and they don't have any ability to operate. They don't have a 501c3 status. So there's a lot of issues here, and at this point, we feel a necessity to move forward.
Okay. Now, in light of the first letter that we have received, and I know it's pretty much preliminary because of the new information that my colleagues have just received in light of what Dennis Moss is obviously trying to do in a nutshell. And I guess in a nutshell, he's asking us to kind of postpone some things until he can call parties together. But what I like to see happen, and if you, George, will give us some history of how we got here and the communication with the present operator and trying to work out those issues and how we end up here today.
Sure. And also, before I do that, just my impression of the first letter that I read from Commissioner Moss was that letter is more focused on the future operator. And so I think there's basically two fundamental issues that need to be addressed. The first one is evicting this current operator, and then the second one is where do we go from there. Why the eviction? Basically, we've had a history of issues with this particular operator that's involved non-compliance. And so it's been constant attempts to obtain information from them, attempts to try to get compliance on the agreements that we have with them, and they really have not delivered what they were required to by lease. We have probably the last communication we had with this operator was a couple of months ago. We asked for a number of documents to try to understand why it is that their 501c3 has been revoked since 2010, why it is that they have a stop work order, why it is that they had their insurance lapse for a while. The other pressing questions have been how do they even expect to operate even if they didn't have all these problems to begin with, because the county has suspended their funding. The county has basically said that the Inspector General's office has recommended that they not be funded until their investigation is completed. And there's a lot of other issues which, again, I'd rather not get too much into detail, but I'm happy to if need be. I mean, I have a lot more information here that I'm happy to bring forward if need be. But if this is not really working, it's not really something that should continue. The other problem is that's time sensitive is that they're required to have insurance on the building, a liability insurance. The stop work order prohibits them from doing business. And so that involves anything involving their operation. Their insurance is set to lapse December 13th. So we've had two other occasions where they let their insurance lapse, and it created a liability situation for the city. If they have a stop work order, they don't pay their insurance by the 13th, they won't have insurance. And so, meanwhile, we have people that are headquartered in the building. And so this is really a time-sensitive issue at this point. They've been given plenty of opportunity. In fact, I guess when we met with them in October, we gave them 20 days to produce the documents. They promised they would produce the documents. Not only did they produce the documents, but phone calls have been left unreturned, emails have been unreturned. This operator has been missing in action for over 2 months. And so that's our problem. We have tenants that are wondering, right now they have agreements with the current operator to pay for, in essence, services. So for example, they have agreements that says they're allowed to occupy a space in the building, and in return they pay a certain service charge. And as part of that, there's an expectation of service. There'd be a receptionist at the desk, there would be maintenance of the building, interior, and there's nobody there to provide that service. And they're not even allowed to, this current operator is not even allowed to accept payments from them. So these people are in a public building. They are operating for-profit businesses, and they're not paying any rent or any service fees to anybody. And this situation really can't continue much longer.
So you're saying that you're going to, at this point, your recommendation is to have CRA operate it? Is that what you're saying? Is that your recommendation?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
For a short period of time until we find another operator. We don't think it's advisable for the CRA to operate it long-term. What we think is, in light of the current tenants that are there, and in light of the fact that this particular operator can't do business, we feel in the short term we need to have the CRA staff make sure the lights are on, because there's a utility bill issue here as well. There's probably $4,000 worth of bills in arrears, and so somebody has to pay the electric bill, somebody has to get in there and basically make sure the place is operational for a period of time until we come back with a recommendation for a new operator.
Okay. All right.
Further questions from council? Yes, Mr. Burgess.
Do we have anybody that's expressed interest coming, not without naming names, but there are people that, to make sure that this could be a short-term switch, rollover? Are there people that are interested, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr.
And what is the time frame that you're recommending as far as, finding a new operator or somebody to go into that facility?
The entity that expressed interest did not want to engage in formal dialogue with us until a resolution was made on whether the current operator would remain in place. They didn't really want to have anything to do with this particular decision.
But is there, do we have an estimate? Is it a month? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? How long is do we have a time frame as far as how long the CRA is going to have to operate this?
This particular entity has its own bureaucracy, and so we didn't get that far with discussions,
Okay.
but we think the interest is very strong.
Okay.
Mayor?
Yes, Ms.
All right, thank you.
Wong.
I just received, excuse me, we all have colds up here. I just received these two letters as I sat down tonight. As I read this, Commissioner Moss is expressing interest in doing something different with the incubator. Is that correct, Mr. Manager?
Excuse me?
Commissioner Moss is, I'm sorry, I know you haven't read the other letter, I'm sorry. Commissioner Moss is expressing interest as to do something different with the incubator after tonight's vote, if tonight's
It
vote.
appears as that my reading of the letter is that the idea is to bring in a different type operator.
Right.
I don't know much about the proposal other than what's in the letter.
Which would be the second phase if this is passed tonight. The second letter is from the Honorable Carrie Meek, and I'm just going to say I was a strong supporter of this incubator. Actually, I fought for it. I was the only vote that fought for it several years ago. And I know good things have come out of it, and I'm not saying that it hasn't, and I think Ms. Meek was very instrumental and with her reputation, and her reputation means everything to her, and I know her son as well, and I think that that is strong. However, in the last few years, we've not had the cooperation and the experience that I was able to experience in the beginning. So, unfortunately, I guess we'll hear we'll hear from Hilda to answer some of these questions, but I don't understand how the electricity got behind. I don't understand why the insurance is behind. I don't understand why we're having complaints. And it's not just to the city, it's complaints to other divisions of government, correct?
Correct.
And it tends, just from what I know, which isn't a lot more than anybody else knows, it seems very serious. So this is a vote that we're going to have to take very seriously tonight. And so the manager has said that he has somebody that's already been interested, and we now have Commissioner Moss who's written a letter to us. So I don't think that anybody's going to suffer if the management is changed there. And to not have a nonprofit, how long have they been operating without a nonprofit status?
Their nonprofit status was revoked in
May of 2010.
May of 2010?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do we find out that it wasn't in good
Well,
standing?
the way the IRS determines revocation of their 501c3 status is if a nonprofit entity fails to file tax returns 3 consecutive years. So at the point of revocation in May of 2010, that meant that they hadn't, for 3 years prior to that, hadn't filed any tax returns.
So since 2007?
Yes, ma'am.
Minimum.
Okay. I thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I think I'm going to hold off on my comments until I hear from the operator. Would you like to take that?
Good evening. My name is Charles McKinnon. Ms. Hilda Dennis retained me to try to help her out in this matter, and she wanted me to come up and try to clear a few things up from what's been said so far about the situation and what's going on as far as we've seen it. The first issue about the 20 days with the information that the city requested from Ms. Dennis is, yes, we did agree to 20 days. It was an agreement because we weren't offered another opportunity. We asked for a little bit longer than 20 days. This is what they offered. Ms. Dennis is actually trying to fulfill the requirements that the city asked. In fact, she has all the documentation here with her tonight, and she has copies for each and every one of you. She's also had to fill requirements for the IG. She's also had to fill requirements for the workers' compensation folks. We finally completed everything for the IG last Friday. We did the stuff for the workers' compensation folks Friday before that. She should be getting an order to go back into the building, or the stop work order should be released once they've had a chance to process it. And she just completed doing the documents that were requested by the city manager. Now, Ms. Dennis expressed some reservations about giving them to the city manager earlier, and I think rightfully so, because the last time we had a meeting with the city manager was a situation where she was ambushed, where everything she had handed over just led to another question rather than to some type of cooperative agreement, which is what she thought she was entering into with the city manager. So she decided this time, before she decided to just hand these things over, she wanted to make sure everything was complete, and it's as complete as she can get it, and that everyone got them at the same time. As far as her being revoked as a not-for-profit, the loss of the 501c3 status doesn't mean that you're not a not-for-profit. Not-for-profit means as long as you're working to not have private annulment. Okay? She's cited by the state of Florida as a company that's not engaging in any activity other than for a charitable purpose. What she doesn't have is a federal tax exemption, the 501c3. 501c3 was revoked because she failed to file, that's what they said, she failed to file several 990s. Well, it gets revoked for that reason without any notice. In fact, there are several companies that do business here in the city of Homestead, like Little Angels Foundation, Fabulosa Women's, Building Better Communities, who are also on that list for not having a 501c3 status.
The Little Angels.
Okay. Well, it's listed to you as 6911 having it revoked. It's what's listed on the computer at this point. All right. But the point being is that it's something that can happen to any company. It doesn't show any lack of diligence. It doesn't show any nefarious intention. It doesn't show that this person is doing anything but trying to run a business the same as anyone else, and may have not been all the time in every instance adequately up on her administrative work. But that doesn't mean she had any nefarious intent. Now, the last thing I guess I was going to address is this is a situation that started over a lease. Ms. Dennis actually got behind on some of her payments as far as with the electric bills, as far as with some of her creditors, all because she had problems getting reimbursed from the county. That's one of the things that IG is looking at. That's one of the things she's giving information to the county. She's on a contract that requires her to get reimbursed once she puts the tickets in, once she puts the receipts in. Now, she had one grant from 2010 that wasn't approved until 2012. She's got all sorts of receipts for light bills, electric bills, actual payroll from folks that the county disallowed. Well, when someone's disallowing half of your budget, it's inevitable that you're going to fall behind at some point. Now, she's working her way through it along with the assistance of the county, and she's working her way through it by herself. She doesn't have a staff of 20 people that can also make sure everything gets done in a quickly and timely manner. She's just working through it honestly and diligently. Now, when you're talking about a lease with someone, usually a lease is broken because someone is doing something the building wasn't being intended to do. She's not conducting any illegal activities outside of that building. She's not stealing money from the tenants outside of that building. All she's doing is managing it as the best of her resources will allow her to. For all the city seems to be doing, at least the county manager at this point seems to be saying, is because she has some discrepancies, because she's not running a perfect organization, that there must be something going on here. There must be some reason to deny her the opportunity to continue what she's been doing at this point. And for what all I've seen at this point, there's none of that going on. It's just an organization that's run on a tight budget. They ran into some problems getting reimbursements, not for any reason, not for any fault of her own, other than county policy that shifts. Okay? And now because she ran into problems, even though she's trying to work through these things with her creditors, she's being punished for it, or being threatened of being punished for it by being called a non-cooperative tenant. This whole thing seems to have arisen from a disgruntled employee who went and made a report to some police officials, which led everything to start tumbling downhill. What Commissioner Moss is actually trying to intimate, and I'm the one who contacted the commissioner to ask him to write a letter of support of her, was that Mr. Jones here, who runs a not-for-profit called NANA, that's well known, has agreed to work with Ms. Dennis to try to make sure those administrative problems are resolved. Now, he's got to call all the players in so he gets an actual good look at everything that's being alleged. Everything that's being alleged by the city, everything that's being alleged by the IG, and everything that's being alleged from any employees or anyone else involved. And he thinks that, from what he's seen so far, that Ms. Dennis just needs the right type of administrative support, which he thinks Mr. Jones and NANA can provide to run a center that will avoid all the little problems she's been having up to now. What I would ask is you all to consider this. Ms. Dennis has been here for several years. She's a well-known part of the community. She's done nothing but try to help the folks here to try to build a better community. And it seems to me the appropriate response for the city, if one of their own is in trouble, is not to try to push them to the side, but to actually try to do something to help them get to the point they need to be successful.
May I ask a question at this time?
Sure.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Charles McKinnon, McKinnon.
And Mr. McKenna, it appears to me that you're acting as a lobbyist.
No, I'm asking as her attorney.
His attorney.
Okay, I'm not asking for any favors.
Every attorney I know that gets up and speaks for their client is a registered lobbyist.
Well, I'm not lobbying for any type of favor for her. No, I'm just explaining what I see the legal issues are in this matter.
I'm going to defer to the city attorney.
Yes.
Sure.
Respectfully, the way the county code is written, unfortunately, even an attorney who represents a client does need to register with our clerk and pay a fee.
Well, if you'd like me to register with your clerk, fine, but I don't think I'm a lobbyist. I'm not getting paid to...
You'll look at the county code. I'll be glad to share it with you, but...
That's fine.
The fact is that's the way the county has defined lobbyists. It includes us as attorneys representing clients. So you do need to take care of that with the clerk.
So you're saying by definition, any attorney that appears before a commissioned body is considered a lobbyist?
Yes, that's the way the county code is written, as odd as it sounds, yes.
All right, well, I wasn't aware of that. That's cool. That's fair. I'll do so.
And if I might ask some other questions.
Go ahead.
I'm having a real difficult time with this timeline because, you know, to hear you speak, Mr. McKenna, it sounds like that I don't like the words that you used when you said that Ms. Dennis was ambushed by the city manager's office when they were asking for documents and asking for material so that she would be in compliance with other agencies as well as the city government. Is that not correct?
Well,
And there were, I'll just say, there were ample times when they couldn't reach Ms. Dennis. I mean, she was gone, out of touch. Is that, I'm asking for I guess I should be looking over here at Rick. Isn't that true that you weren't able to reach her and she just kind of disappeared for some period of time?
yes.
So no one's trying to, you know, I mean, it just baffles me. I mean, I kind of take your speech, although you seem like a very nice man and very calm, but there's a little aggression in there as well. I mean, to even mention the little angels when you don't know the circumstance, what happened, and we immediately rectified that. I mean, you don't try to throw other people under the bus when you don't know the circumstance. Right now, we're here to talk about this situation, and this situation is a serious situation because. And maybe not everybody is aware of everything that has happened, but it's a very serious situation, and we are desperate to solve this and to solve it immediately. So I'll refrain from any other questions right now, Mayor. Thank you.
You know, I'd just like to briefly hear from Nana. I don't think you're acting as a lobbyist, so if you just tell me a little bit, I know it's a very, very successful organization. There's only two things I really have to say is, Nana, because I appreciate you coming down.
Thank you.
If you just tell us a little bit about Nana and what your thoughts were for this center, and then I have a final comment to say about our commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilman and Councilwoman. Thank you all for inviting me here. My name is Leroy Jones. I'm the Executive Director of Neighbors and Neighbors Association. I'm also the founder of the organization. It became incorporated in '96. We are, since 1998, we have been funded by Miami-Dade County. I want to thank Miami-Dade County for support. We run a countywide program. We provide technical assistance and financial assistance to small businesses, be it grants and loans. We are the only agency in the county that runs the countywide grant program where small businesses can apply for grant funding throughout the county. And we created it. We also the agency that created the City of Miami Micro Enterprise Grant Program, where it was created, both programs was created in our office and ran by our office for Miami-Dade County and the City of Miami. We also recently obtained 3 years ago the Black Economic Development Coalition Doing Business as Tools for Change. It was an organization that was created in 1980. It was phasing out, but because it had got so large and had so many clients, the community didn't want the organization to die. So we stepped in and took the organization over when it had no money, so we didn't take it over for money. We came over, brought Tools for Change in, and we run. The first year after we took it over, we received $1 million, and we do loans through that program. Our program extended throughout Miami-Dade County, so you can go anywhere throughout Dade County. You go to the Hammocks, you can come to Homestead, Key West, and you'll find businesses that have benefited through our program. We just recently opened up a resource center in Goulds on 22121 South Dixie Highway. It's a year old. We funded through the county to do that. It's a resource center where businesses can come in and get access resources for their business. We have workshops there. They can use a conference room for meeting. We have some information that we call a little library that they can take information as relates to growing or expanding their business right there. They also have the information for our grant programs and our loan programs. We also run I call it a incubator, but he'll be saying it's a hub. Well, I call it a hub, she called it an incubator. We talked back before about it. But we have a center in the heart of Liberty City where it has 10 incubator spaces where the businesses get a desk, a computer, a receptionist, same thing like the Meek Center, but only at that center it's open space. and we allow home-based businesses to come in and use the conference room. We have mailbox spaces where if you have a home-based business and you need a commercial storefront, we have mailbox space there for commercial businesses. We now having businesses, believe it or not, in Kendall and in Miami Beach calling us to rent mailbox spaces so that they can meet their clients in a business atmosphere instead of taking them at home. So I think we got a very good, pretty successful track record. Have we made some mistakes? Of course. You know, when you're dealing with government changes, and one of the things that has happened throughout the year in Miami-Dade County, they've had 6 different directors in 6 years. So every time a director comes in that department where we funded with, we have to deal with the changes. And oftentimes it's changes that we don't know about. Each director comes in with its own changes. So we had to work through that process, and I can vouch to that, man, the time that it takes to get your payments is ridiculous. If you don't have other sources of income, thank God we have other sources of income, you won't be able to survive. And if we have the opportunity, and if you read Commissioner Moss' letter, the Commissioner Moss is asking for this board and for everybody to meet. Let's meet. Let's try to work this out.
Hold on. You're stealing my thunder now.
Yes. Okay. But and I want to close with this, Mr. Chair and council people, is that I have worked with Hilda probably, I want to say, in fact, when I first met Hilda is one of the persons who helped get my first grant application. I knew nothing about government. I knew nothing about grant applications. She was one of the people that voluntarily took her time to help do an application the first year I applied for funding. And that taught me how to do applications because of that. So I know Hilda is, when it comes to training and workshop, she is untouchable. She is a superstar in that atmosphere. And I work with all the agencies. It's not an agency around in the county that don't know my agency. Because at some point or another, either we have the same clients, or we attend the same meetings or the same workshops, or we coordinate programs together. At some point or another, every agency have probably benefited from my agency. I'm like the new kid on the block, but now my agency is very large, I would say. Right now, between the 2 agencies, we have 19 employees. Can we take on this responsibility? Just like that. Today, we can move in. Any cost that they got, we can carry. No problem. Right now, tomorrow, we won't need to ask Homestead for no money. We won't need to ask the CRA for no money. At this point, right now, we can come in and we can step in, and any problems, any bills, we can take it over right now.
Last question.
Yes, sir.
Did Commissioner Moss ask you to come down tonight?
You know what, he didn't. Let me tell you what Commissioner Moss did. I called Commissioner Moss when I learned about the situation with Hilda. And I said, Commissioner Moss, I said, you know, somebody need to step up and support Hilda because of all the services she did in this community for years. I don't think me, and now I look at myself as a professional person. I might don't wear the suit and ties and all that, but I think I'm a very successful businessman. I see myself, for years I didn't, but now I do. And I said, knowing Hilda's track record and all the things she's done, not only at Homestead and countywide, with all the businesses she's helped, somebody need to step in and do something. We should not allow her to roll over in a corner and die somewhere as if she done something wrong. That's the way I felt about it. So we talked about it, you know, and I said, you know, Commissioner, I'm going to go down there, I'm going to go to the council meeting, and I'm going to go and I'm going to support Hilda. You know, I haven't had the pleasure, really, and unfortunately we have to meet on these circumstances, but I promise you, this won't be my last time here. I'm committing to that.
Thank you.
You know, it won't be my last time, but I did talk to Commissioner Moss, and his office did call me and said that he was going to send a support letter. So we did discuss it, and we did discuss about Nana coming in and helping Hilda, and that's where we at with this one.
Thank you very much.
So I want to thank you all so much, and please, please take interest in Commissioner Moss's letter. Thank you.
And finishing up on my leg of it, I thank you for coming down, and you do run a very successful program. You know, I don't know all the ins and outs. I don't profess to. But reading this letter, and I can tell you just the last line, I mean, in order to give this process a chance, I'm requesting that you consider delaying the action on this center until I have a chance to bring everyone together. So I think that if there's anything we owe here, we owe our commissioner, a part of this district here, we owe him the respect to delay this process for at least a week until he can sit with the manager and find out maybe things that I don't know. There may be things there that I don't know because the manager has not sat down with me yet to explain to me anything that's going on over there. I just know that there was a note put on the door that said that you were no longer there, Hilda. So I ask this council to respect our commissioner and to delay this action for at least a week until he can get involved and have some discussion with the manager, who seems to know more than we do tonight on why this should be closed down and why we should move on. I think that if you look back at the funding that the department, that Hilda received, it was probably just about enough to hang her. And you just confirmed it tonight, sir, by saying how difficult it is to get your payments. Because I can tell you the $30,000 she got from the city didn't make that operation run. So I asked for the council to consider a week to allow the commissioner to get involved. And if the commissioner doesn't get involved, we move on by our next council meeting, which is a week from tomorrow. And I can't see where it can hurt us either way. And I think it's out of respect from you too, sir. He's asking us to do this, and I think you should reach out to him.
I asked to be recognized.
Sure.
A couple of things. First of all, absolutely, in terms of the respect for the commissioner, we really appreciate his attempt to try to, looking forward, figuring out what is the best way to manage the facility going forward. And I think considering Nana as a potential operator is something that we'd be more than happy to look at. And so, absolutely, tomorrow morning we'll call his office and we'll try to schedule a meeting with him, his office, to discuss the possibility of Nana taking over the facility moving forward. But in terms of this current operator, a couple of things that I think are important that we discuss. The first one was, I started off with the nutshell version because I didn't want to embarrass anybody, and I really do the best I can not to embarrass people in public. And I think also the gentleman from Nana and certainly the commissioner aren't necessarily aware or privy to some of the issues that we've been having with their current operator, which would probably explain their presence tonight and the letter, because I think enough has been said tonight where I need to set the record straight and at least disclose the information we have, which again, the memo that we sent to you was the sanitized version because we didn't want to embarrass anybody. But on the other hand, accusations have been made tonight, and I think it's important for you to understand what's happening in a public building. So I'm going to go through a narrative, a chronology of events, just so everybody can be clear about what's happening here. And basically it comes down to this. The current operator of the incubator has mismanaged the facility, and that's why we're here today. And that mismanagement has led to a shutdown of operations and an investigation by the Miami-Dade County Inspector General's office for suspicion of grand theft and money laundering. Now, I say this with a heavy heart because suspicion and investigations are just that. But I wanted to make sure that I wasn't interfering with any investigations by saying that, and I can tell you right now that I'm able to say that without any concern that I've hampered any investigation. So that's really the fundamental problem here is that. Now, the current operator has had its funding suspended by Miami-Dade County. That we know, because when the Inspector General's office sent the letter to me, I forwarded it to the mayor and council so that you were aware of what was in the letter. And that's what the letter says. It also says that the Inspector General has recommended that no more funding be authorized for the current operator until it has completed its investigation. Now, this current operator's attorney stood before you not 10 minutes ago to say, quote, they fulfilled their requirements with the Inspector General, the IG. We were on the phone with a special agent from this office not 3-4 hours ago, and that statement is 100% incorrect. So that's the first issue. According to the IRS, the current operator failed to file required tax returns for 3 consecutive years. As a consequence, it lost its 501c3 status. In fact, it had been operating without its 501c3 status since May 15th of 2010. And during this time period, the current operator has been certifying that its 501c3 status was in effect. Now, how do I know this? Well, we have copies, and we're happy to provide you with them today, but you've had these copies before because this operator has come before you with applications for grant funding from the CRA. And each of those applications, there were check-off boxes. Is your 501c3 status in good standing? And on both those occasions, those boxes were checked. And we have reason to believe that this operator knew at the time that they checked off those boxes and signed the certifications that they knew that their 501c3 status was not in good standing. Additionally, the current operator was caught by the state of Florida for violating state law, which requires that they have workers' compensation insurance. After discovering this, the state requested 3 years' worth of payroll records to determine how much of a fine to assess. After the operator failed to turn over the required documents, which is required by law, the state of Florida issued them a stop work order, which prohibits them from conducting any business in the state. We have also discovered that the current operator has been a defendant in numerous civil cases, which has resulted in significant default judgments against it. Now, we say that, and according to our records, there are over $258,000 in default judgments, which, if still in effect, is more debt than its entire 2010 operating income. So when we met with this operator some 2 months ago, we asked specific questions about the default judgments because it's a relevant piece of information. If in fact they owe $260,000 worth of payments to people that, in essence, they owe money to, banks and lease, equipment that they leased and a whole number of entities, if in fact they still owe that money, and in fact they only get around $250,000 is their total annual budget, all of which is consumed by expenses of their own. They don't run at a profit. How could they possibly function long term with $260,000 worth of debt that they're going to have to repay? And as of today, the operator has failed to pay its utility bills since September, with a total amount due of $4,350.77. The other thing, and the reason this thing has come to our attention from a variety of different sources, is that we've had a number of former employees of this current operator who have complained about payroll and accounting issues. And I know for a fact that those elements are part of the current investigation. We have current small businesses housed in the facility that have complained to us that they aren't receiving basic services that they were promised to them by the current operator. And they claim that this has been going on for a while. The current operator's insurance is set to lapse on December 13th, and unless the stop work order is lifted, the CRA may be exposed to unnecessary liability. There have already been 2 previous occasions in which the current operator allowed its insurance to lapse in violation of its agreement with the CRA. I think it's important to mention that staff has been extremely patient with this operation, and probably too patient, quite frankly, attempting on numerous occasions to achieve compliance from this operator. Months have gone by without even a return phone call or email from this operator. Requests for information and documents have been ignored. Their lease has been expired for over 2 months, and even before it expired, there were numerous compliance issues. And to sum up, they are currently occupying a public building with no contractual agreement, without performing the public services that they're required to perform, with no current ability to operate legally, with numerous default judgments, with suspended funding, and no 501c3 status. And most troubling, an investigation of grand theft by the Inspector General's office and money laundering. Suspicion of grand theft and money laundering of the Inspector General's office. So to delay this any further, in terms of the actual eviction, in my mind, is a completely different issue, and I totally respect what the Commissioner and the County Commissioner is asking for is, once the eviction takes place and as we start searching for a new operator, it certainly is something that we should be discussing, but in terms of delaying eviction at this point, I just don't see how you can delay that decision based on this current information.
Richard, does this require like two votes, 2 meetings?
It actually doesn't require any meetings at all.
That's what I figured.
Under the lease, the manager has the ability to evict these people
Right.
without council approval.
Mhm.
And I think that because of the seriousness of the matter, the manager brought it to the council to notify them of the action that he was
No, and I respect the fact that he brought it to us, and I respect the fact, and I know that he has that privilege. But once again, I say the same thing. We owe the respect to the county commissioner. And if all these things are in line, and all these things are sealed deals, the commissioner will understand it very quickly. Very quickly. So again, if you can't wait till next Wednesday, and it has to be done tonight, then I'm going to be, my nod or my suggestion is against it. Because you're at a county official asking you to hold off until he talks to you. And I don't think we should talk to him. I think you should talk to him, Mr. Manager. I think you should tell him the same thing that you told this entire council tonight. And worst case scenario, it comes back before us if it needs to. I don't think it'll need to after you have a conversation with Commissioner Moss. But I think, again, respectfully, we should reach out and do what he's asked us to do. Well, the shoe's going to be on the other foot very soon, and then we're going to. I don't want to start that back and forth with the county. I think we need to respectfully reach out to the county commissioner, and you need to fill him in on what's taking place. Yes, Ms. Fallon.
With all due respect, I've read this letter from the commissioner over and over and over, and I agree with you, Mayor, that we want the commissioner to know that we have full respect for him. However, he's not asking us this is something totally different. He's asking us to sit down with Nana and talk to, yeah, that's what he says here. And there's no mention of the operation, am I correct? Somebody validate this. So I think Commissioner Moss probably doesn't know what the manager knows, and I have to move forward with this tonight. I'm just going to tell you right here, nobody has supported the incubator for as many years as I have, and I still wanted to see it be an incubator. So there's a miscommunication, I think, sometimes, that it still needs to be an incubator. It just needs to be under new management. So don't misunderstand that. Don't misunderstand that. It serves a purpose. It's there for a purpose. I think Nana, I'm sorry, sir, I don't know your name.
My name is Leroy Jones.
Mr. Jones. I'm going to call you Nana the whole night.
Everybody do.
That's my mother's name.
We in the shopping center on Sunday.
Hey, Nana.
They say, that's Nana.
Well, it sounds like you have a wonderful organization. It sounds like that, and with the commissioner's praise for you, I mean, the commissioner gave you praise. So, and I know that our manager will sit down with you and move forward, but since we're putting things on the table here, my vote has to be to evict if we have a vote, or if we're just giving our opinion. And it's only because there's been too many issues. There's too many issues. There's too many facts. And there's too much that in the past that you can't explain. So I just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Hilda Waldernis, and I am the current operator of the Carrie Meek Center for Business, and I've been that operator almost since the inception of the facility. So what I wanted to do is, this is my one opportunity, I guess, to dispel some of those myths that have been created. As earlier, as we noted, and I understand, like you said, Ms. Waldman, that it was not fair that he brought up your organization, but I think that the only reason that came up is to just be able to say that there are a lot of organizations that are in the same status that our organization is in, and they are not aware, just like I was not aware. In regards to my 501c3 and the non-submission of documents to the IRS, that is incorrect. I actually have, and I spoke at the original meeting that I was invited to. I said that I have the taxes, they were submitted. I have stamps on the taxes from the IRS that say that they were submitted. They were submitted. We were told that they were not accepted in that department to send them to another department. We went forward and sent that. I have the actual receipt from the mailing agency that shows that we received it, and I have the tracking number from the IRS showing that it was received. When I contacted the IRS, there is a provision where there is automatic reinstatement, which is retroactive. I contacted them and I said that you're continuing to have it reported that my organization's 501c3 status is not correct, and I see that in the county there are thousands of organizations that are being reported as such. So I asked them, what could I do? They told me that I needed to fax them a copy of all of my taxes, of all of my documents proving that it had been submitted, because they can make a mistake too, as we heard earlier. And I did that. So I'm in the process of waiting for them to come back and just tell us when our stuff is going to be reinstated. And as you know, I've called the IRS, and in the article and in the blog, it also states that whoever contacted the IRS, the reporter, the IRS told her that there was no way to look in the pipeline to see if our documents had been worked on or if they were processed yet. So that's one of the things. In regards to me being non-compliant, being invisible, not being able to be reached, that is incorrect. My cell phone number has always been listed with the City of Homestead. Clients have been given my cell phone number. My email address is always active. No, I did not receive any information from you all prior to this meeting this evening. I hadn't heard anything from anybody since the last time we had spoken. What happened is also, I understand that my attorney was not even contacted about this meeting until 7 o'clock on Thursday evening. Thursday evening, 7 o'clock, was the notice that he was given. I was under the impression that we would be called for another meeting after we put the documents together or something. But to continue to say that I'm not reachable, my cell phone, if I wasn't reachable, I see that there's a note and no one is taking responsibility as to who put the note on the door of the building, but it has my phone number and it also has Ms. Redmond's number. So did our number come from out of the air? I had contacted our clients prior to the workers' comp situation, and from what I understand from the workers' comp person, he was, can I say? Yeah. We asked him, the first time he came out, he came to us talking about our workers' comp status. I was not clear on that because we've had other agencies that have worked with us, and we've had different sources that have covered our workers' comp throughout the years. So when we spoke to him, he first asked me for a number of documents, and I gave them to him. He gave us 5 days to present them. I gave them to him. The second time he came back, he says, now I want 3 years' worth of documents. I said, okay. He says, you have 5 days to present it. I said, that's not enough time. I requested a 30-day extension. I was not given the 30-day extension, and I was not given notice. The only thing we got was the workers' comp gentleman coming to the door and putting a sign on the door. When my attorney spoke with him, when we gave him our final documents, because he has reviewed, he's looked, and initially they assessed a small fee. It was a $2,300 fine or something, they said, because it was only a short period in those years that we were required to have workers' comp insurance, and we didn't. And then he said since he's looked at our documents, he has reduced the fine even more, down to, a few $100s. But what has happened is he said that our facility, that he's ready to release the stop work order any day. And my attorney asked him, how was he contacted? And he said that the city manager had contacted him. This is not the first time that I've heard that. My staff person that was released from the organization, he was released, as we talk about a disgruntled staff person, he was released because he tampered with mail. He stole bank statements and other documents, and he opened up mail that was not addressed to him. Ms. Redmond sent a package to the office, and he opened the package. It did not have his name on it. When he was escorted from the building, I understood that he said to get in touch with the city manager, CRA director, because they knew about him, he knew them, that they had been working together. So I'm saying, yes, that is hearsay, but these are some of the things that's going on. It's been consistent, and we're talking about a lease. We did not receive a lease from the city of Homestead until I got a letter from Ms. Moore, May 16th, saying our lease was ready. And that's May 16th of 2012, not 2011. My lease says, in the letter here, it says that our lease, we had a lease in August and so on and so forth. I have a letter here where I had sent Mr. Amarato in December that also talks about the work that needs to be done on the city, because we had a grant with the county that we've had for a number of years we've been trying to access for $95,000, and the county will not allow us to have that because we didn't have a long-term lease. So this is how all of this started. The next situation that came about was my understanding that St. Thomas University was interested in coming to create a business incubator in the city, and I objected to that. And again, St. Thomas University appears on that same list of 501c3 issues with the IRS. And so at this time, another issue when we discuss the financial situation and what's going on in regards to the judgments, there is something saying that we had a judgment with the First National Bank of South Florida for $100,000+. We owe First National Bank approximately $18,000. They can add their legal fees to it, about $19,000. We had a bank account with the First National Bank, and we didn't receive any notice, and on December, we were told that our account was closed. And when our account was closed, all of our payments came out of our account. In regards to funding being suspended by the county and any of the other allegations that's going on, those things are being worked on, and the funding situation in regards to the county, the only thing that's going on is that we have submitted our documents. The county has taken 6 months to execute a contract. When our contract's supposed to start in January, we got to execute a contract in July. The money that we've been waiting for right now is $2,010 that have been lost numerous times. The county attorney, we were invited into meetings 2 times to redo the same amendments because they lost our documents, and for 2 years we haven't gotten this money. Being short and unable to pay our clients, yes, as our attorney mentioned earlier, there are a number of disallowances. Since the center started, prior to me coming on board, there was a phone system that was entered into. That phone system had charges of $1,700 a month for the T1 and the phones with AT&T, which was, the county came back and said it was exorbitant. But they have been paying it. It was an approved line item on our budget for the last 7 years. It was not until the beginning of the year that we got a new contract manager when the new director came on board, and they said that we are going to disallow. I've included copies of that for you. The disallowance is that instead of paying our bill, which we had to pay first, they disallowed what we had already paid and reduced it to $100 to reimburse us. So we have just a cursory glance, we have over $53,000 in disallowances, and that means that's money that we had expended already and that we did not get back. So that was some of the issues. In regards to our relationship with NANA, we have been the entity that's been creating NANA's technical assistance programs. We have created a lot of the all the programs and all the training that has been going on, the capacity building program. We have had a partnership with NANA for a number of years, and as Leroy said before, it was NANA, I was helping him. And what we have done, we also have the center and goals that we work with NANA. I've been doing their classes on Thursday, so no, I haven't been missing. I put a sign up in the center when we were unable to work there because the workers' comp did not say that we could not operate or be in the facility, excuse me. It said that we couldn't operate. And an email, because there was a question at our meeting, the city manager questioned that, and the workers' comp rep sent an email saying that no, it does not affect any of our businesses. Yes, we could be in the facility, but no, we could not operate. So what we were doing is that our clients that needed service, they were going to Ghouls, and anyone else that we had to deal with, the clients have called me. The locks were not working on the building. The clients called me, I called the locksmith, we took care of it. So it's not that we're missing in action. It's just that I've been bombarded with one attack after another, and I've been dealing with each one as they have come. So IRS, in summary, 501c3, it's in process. It should be retroactively reinstated soon. Workers' comp, our order to release and be able to go in, we can have that, I believe, as soon as tomorrow. That's already done. Yeah, we should have it. We should already have it. He just has to bring it over. In regards to being a defendant in numerous cases, default judgment about copiers, these things are being revisited by my attorney because we had another attorney that helped us at the time, and we found out that he did not go and appear for us on our behalf. But all the copiers, what we did, and I included that in my package for you, we returned them because when we got the copiers, they sent them to us. They made a mistake with our names. We were not able to be reimbursed for them, so I never even opened the package, and it shows on the return receipt that copiers picked up brand new, still in package. So yes, they put a judgment against us, but we are disputing it. In regard to the other folks that are saying that there is a judgment, I've actually entered a a motion to vacate additional judgments. So I know that there are other things that probably, are forgotten, but the bulk of our problems have come from contracts with the county taking 6 months or more to be executed. Presently, the 2009 funding for capital improvement, we still haven't received it. The 2010 funding, we are still waiting for that, which I said again, they have lost on more than one occasion. And the number of disallowances has caused a lot of problems. So no, it was never my intent. Just like we noted earlier, me, just like a lot of other agencies, they are still not aware that their 501c3 status may be in jeopardy. I was just one of the lucky ones that I was informed, and we are operating and taking care of that right now. And again, the audit that we answered, it continues to come around, and we're always hearing how we have not served 4,000 businesses. We have been, just like the city of Homestead, next year is the 100-year anniversary. It's the 10th year anniversary for this Carrie Meek Center for Business. We have served more than that. We were actually when we submitted this audit, the response to the audit, we entered in there every single business with a name, the phone number, and that's in your records. I even sent another copy of it when Rick came on board. I emailed it to him in December just to say, they continue to talk about us not complying, that we're not serving clients, and that all these things that you have written in this audit that keeps going around. But the original audit and our response, for some reason, it just seems like it never got in there. Capacity building classes that we offered, whenever you all gave us funding, the room was overflowing. What did I asked for? I said, could you please give us a space someplace in the city because we have so many people that want to attend our classes. It was ignored. I asked, could you please help us because the floors, the building has not been painted since we have been there. The building is crumbling. There's pieces falling off of it. The asphalt in the parking lot is broken. The roof is leaking. In the offices, clients have water coming in. We have little areas where there is mold. And I was asking for assistance, and as of yet, I never got it. I even gave a list saying the little things. So I'm saying we are being proactive. How many agencies go out and get grant funds to facilitate this? How many agencies, when you don't have money, where you're sitting here talking about me stealing money, I've taken my own money to make sure that the staff was paid. I've taken money from my family. I've had loans to make sure that the staff is paid. When you look at my financial, the organization owes me almost $100,000, and that is besides salary, because I have continued to try to make sure things are paid. And in summary, when we talk about the light bills not being paid. In September, I paid over $3,000 out of my pocket in light bills while we've been waiting for reimbursements. Now, when we understood, I was told that by the IG that he was going to the CRA director to tell the clients not to pay rent anymore. So the clients have not paid rent for October, November, and now it's December. So what I'm thinking, maybe I'm just so naive, if the clients had paid rent, why wasn't the money for the rent used for the lights? Because I didn't get it. Thank you.
Any questions from Ms. Silva?
Yes, please.
Please, Mr.
You stated that you got the tax forms that you gave to the IRS to clear up your 501(c)(3).
Mm-hmm.
If you're able to give them to them, then why haven't we received any copies here at the city? To my knowledge, we haven't received any. Is that what you're telling me tonight, Mr. Manager?
Correct.
I mean, that's as easy as a fax or somebody driving a half a mile from the incubator over here to give them a copy stating that this issue's been resolved.
Mr. Burgess, the day that we had our meeting, I shared those with them, and they wanted an actual letter from the IRS. So I've been waiting for the IRS to send us a letter, and it does take a while. But I shared these documents that I had with me that showed that I had submitted them with the stamp from the IRS that day we had the meeting.
I mean, I'm just a little baffled if these issues were out there, and I know you've been working on them diligently, as what you and your representatives has told us is. From my understanding, it's been almost 60 days since we've had any contact with the director of the incubator. Is that correct?
Correct.
No responses at all to any emails or phone calls that have been put out there? Thank you.
And the idea that we don't have her telephone number it's absolutely not true. A number of calls have been made to her, including I called myself and left a message on her voicemail. Emails have been sent out. There have been numerous attempts, not to mention the fact that, I mean, the telltale sign here, folks, is that they were aware as of Thursday evening that this thing was agended. Because as soon as the agenda went out, as soon as we were preparing for the agendas to go out, preparing the material, one lawyer calls the other lawyer to notify, and then on Friday when the agenda went out, they were emailed the information that was on the agenda. We haven't received any phone call from her, any attempt to meet, any attempt to produce documents. If all these documents are ready and it will clear up everything. It's the very reason we asked for the documents, so that if there was some explanation here that maybe we were missing, at least we could understand. Like, for example, when we asked the question, why were those boxes checked off on the grants that certified that you were 501(c)(3)s? Why, knowing that your status had been revoked, why would you have checked off those boxes 2 years in a row on 2 separate grant applications? And then also, my understanding is the same was done for county grants. Why would you have checked those boxes, signed and certified in those applications that the status was good? And the answer to the meeting was, well, we didn't know at the time. I have information that I believe proves that what she said to me was untrue. That in fact she knew that there was an issue with the status well before these applications. So there are a lot of excuses here, and I'll tell you the truth, I heard all these excuses at the meeting, and I thought the best way, if in fact anything that she's saying is true, the best way to prove that is with the documentation. But the documentation hasn't been provided.
And question. You referred to the IG, so you've had discussions with them down there. Had they received any documents as of today with your discussion?
Basis.
Well, a couple of things first, just to clear things up. The IG's office contacted us, okay? They contacted us months ago. We didn't call them first. They contacted us, and we provided information, which led to a slew of conversations with them. We also know that they've been conducting this investigation for months. We also know that as soon as it was reported to us, because when the stop work order was issued, you know how we found out about that? Somebody called us and said there's a big notice, and there was a notice on the door of a stop work order. Did this operator call and say, oh, by the way, you know, because we have an agreement with you to operate this incubator, by the way, we're having a misunderstanding with the state, They slapped us with a stop work order, but let us explain what this issue is, and we're working on it. We didn't hear from this operator. In fact, we tried to reach the operator. We couldn't get the operator until after I sent an email out to all of you informing you of the issue. And then I received a phone call from this operator. But the reason we called the state was because we didn't really understand what a stop work order actually meant. Did that mean that we as a CRA, as a city, have to shut down the building? What is it exactly is it that they're asking to be done here? And that's when they informed us that the stop work order meant that this operator cannot conduct business. And we wanted a clarification of, does that mean we have to kick out the companies that are in there? And they told us, no, it doesn't apply to the company. It means that this particular operator cannot conduct any business. They can't change the locks, they can't pay any bills, they can't accept any payments. There's nothing they can do. So when this operator says she's getting calls from her companies and that they call her to change the locks and she changes the locks, that's a violation of the stop work order. She's not allowed to do that. So I'll tell you, I didn't want to go through point by point what this individual is saying here, but this is really, I tell you the truth, it's embarrassing, and I just tell you, the more the facts come out, the worse it gets, and I just think we need to move on. This doesn't look good for the city. It's not something that it really should continue. The judgments, you just mentioned the judgments, $258,000 worth of judgments. It's very simple. You sit down with an operator that you have an agreement with, and you ask the question. Why does it say here, why does this paper here say you have $258,000 worth of judgments? And then it comes down to, oh, it's not this, it's not that, it's not the other thing. Okay, well, do you have settlement agreements with these entities? Have you settled them? Have you paid them? You just really show us and make us feel comfortable that since you're in a city building and you're running a city program, that you're not owing $260,000 to people who have claimed that you defaulted on your payments. And so, was any of that documentation provided? No. So I really don't know what the issue here is, other than everybody is to blame except the operator. The county, you heard it tonight. The county's to blame, the staff's to blame, there's evil intent, the federal government's to blame, this one made a mistake, everybody else, the little angels, they also are to blame somehow. Everybody is to blame here except this operator. And I just don't think this is the way to do business.
May I say something?
Way. And I forgot the one main point.
Go ahead.
This operator, let's not forget what the purpose of this operator's, what their mission is. Their mission is to invite struggling small businesses and startups, come to our center, and we will teach you a professional way to manage your business. We will teach you best practices. We will help you run a successful business. And I guess the question is, had they applied for this position when you were looking for somebody to teach small businesses how to run in a professional manner, and you had this laundry list of issues from wherever else they came and operated, if they had this experience and this track record, would anybody have hired them to begin with? I think not.
Okay, one quick brief statement, and then we're going to wrap it up, right?
Real briefly, Mayor. Here's the documents that the county manager...
City manager.
City manager.
City manager requested. Should I turn it to him or to the attorney?
Yeah, and I think there may be a question here that I'd like to clarify, and that is, in light of the agreement that we have with them that delegated this responsibility to me, I really wasn't asking you for anything other than if you disagreed with my course of action here, certainly as the policymakers, you have a right to override my decision. But I felt it was important to notify you publicly and give you one opportunity to say to me that this is not the direction we should be going in. But as of tomorrow, absent any change in course, tomorrow morning, this operator will be notified that they have a period of time to vacate the premises.
Yes, sir.
Part of the record, the documents that the city asked for, these are the documents.
So if you could, I forgot your last name, I'm sorry. McKenna, if you could give that to the clerk, that way it will be made part of the official record.
Okay. Last final question from council.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Shaw.
not really a question, just a statement. And that is, Just to be clear, I want to make sure that the intent here going forward is to make sure that this remains some form of an incubator or similar small business development programming, with whether operator comes into effect thereafter, because I think it's an important function within our city. So I just want to make sure that that direction is clear.
Yes, that is certainly the intent, and also the origin of the grant. There's a question that if we shut down the facility completely and decided to use the building for something completely different, it could conflict with the original NASA grant that we had. So the intent is to come back to you in a brief period of time with a different operator for the purpose of running an incubator of some sort.
Okay, thank you.
And you don't have a problem with calling Commissioner Moss tomorrow and kind
More
of
than happy to
bring
do
him up
that,
to
and
speed?
I appreciate his interest in this issue.
Yes.
Just a quick thing. Out of respect with both, and Senator, Congresswoman Meek, could we also reach out to her, please, with our
Absolutely.
facts? A quick question for the city attorney. Richard, what's the legalities of leaving the incubator as it is with the current operator? Is that even allowed?
The problem is that the current operator, the way we understand the facts, doesn't have the ability to operate this facility because of the issues that the manager has brought up. So, right at this moment, they don't have the ability to operate the facility, legally have the ability to operate the facility. And so, there's not really an option here to leave them in place. And that's sort of the discussions that we've been having.
Excuse me, what does that mean? Can you explain that? That we don't have the legal ability?
You have a stop work order from the state.
That's over?
We have not received any.
Okay, well, I don't know why he hasn't brought it, but that's over, but and what else?
I spoke with the state official this morning. He is still waiting for some documentation from Mr. McKenna that he has not received. That was from this morning.
So to our knowledge, I mean, there's a number of things. There's a stop work order currently in effect. Is the best information that we have.
Okay.
But that's enough. I mean, that's all. I mean, that alone stops.
I understand, but I spoke to again, the workers' comp person, and he told me that, this stop work order was being released. So I'm trying to understand, and then again, I just like to recap. I don't know if it's just that, I'm not here to attack or be attacked, Mr. Manager. And I understand that you've had another agenda, that's what I'm going to, excuse me, but what I'm going to say is that, no, it's not. What I'd like to clarify is that you say that you've called me. There are phone records, sir. You didn't call me. Okay, you didn't leave any messages on my phone, so...
I don't want to get into that.
Okay.
I mean,
all right, but thank you.
I would think that we let Dennis Moss know tomorrow, and Ms. Meeks, and I think it'll all come out in the end. Look, I'm not putting the two cases together, but there was a 160-page document just released that showed somebody very innocent after they were told they were very guilty. So, without throwing names around, I don't want to be sued. So, I say you prove your point, prove your case, and it was in the Miami Herald. It was pretty obvious.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
If I could make a statement. I agree with the course of action that the manager has taken. I would say, just to be fair to all parties, as we move forward, when we reach out to Commissioner Moss and Mr. Jones, I believe it is, I would like to hear more about Mr. Jones's program. I don't know a lot about it, so if Mr. Jones could get me some information on his program at some time so I could review it and read about it and see the great things that Commissioner Moss states you've done, I'd like to see some information on your program, sir. But I think we need to make sure that we move forward, and I think tonight we need to move forward, and that's my opinion and my opinion only. But I think your course of action is what you've suggested in my eyes is correct, and I think we need to make sure that we reach out to any and all entities that want to come in and do a great job for the city of Homestead, and any small businesses that would like to partake in the opportunity that we offer them. So that's my opinion.
And I did recap on that. Since Mr. Burgess has mentioned that, I would, with one caveat, is that in no way, shape, or form you bring FIU back again, because if you do, it stinks. It stinks. And in no way, shape, or form do you bring them back to the table. Any final questions?
In fairness to FIU, we've never brought FIU.
Well, they've been here once, and I know you were very St. Thomas. You were very upset the fact that they left and they never came back. But
Any new operator is going to have to come back for an agreement before the council. So you would approve a new operator.
thank you. Okay. Move forward. Next item. There's no vote to be done on that, so thank God there's not. Approval of minutes, tab 3. Motion. Move it. Thank you. Second.
Second.
Questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carries. New business, tab 4, car 679, commercial enhancement grant disbursement.
CRA staff recommends the CRA board approve the resolution authorizing the allocation of commercial enhancement grant funds to the following applicants: Nancy Rivera, Sembrano Flores, Inc., 162 Southwest 1st Avenue, Homestead, Florida, up to $25,000. Jose Camarillo, 47 North Chrome, Inc., 47 North Chrome Avenue, Homestead, $25,000. On November 15, 2012, the Southwest Advisory Committee recommended the approval of the above-listed applicants. On October 11, 2011, the CRA Board approved the resolution CRA 2011-10-13, adopting the guidelines for the disbursement of grants to local businesses for the improvement of facades of commercial buildings, the build-out of commercial spaces, and the relocations, expansions of businesses within the CRA area. The 2012-2013 CRA budget allocates $300,000 to this program.
Move, Mayor.
Okay. Second? Second. Questions, council?
I just got a comment. I'd like to thank Councilman Williams and the Southwest Advisory Committee for all the work that they do, helping the CRA, bringing these projects forward and doing what needs to be done over there. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. But it's the wonderful staff of CRA that gets it done. So
I'm going to pass this on to Elizabeth and Selena, who do a great job for us. So thank you.
Mayor.
Here.
Mayor.
Yes.
If I could just piggyback on that. I mean, Mr. Williams, until you came on board, we didn't see all these things happening, so it means a lot.
Thank you.
Take a little credit.
Thank you.
Take a little credit.
I tried.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public on this item. How many applicants are there?
On this particular one, there were only 2.
Okay. Could you read them just for the record?
Sure. Nancy Rivera from Sembrano Flores, Inc., 162 Southwest 1st Avenue, Homestead, and Jose Camarillo, 47 North Chrome, Inc., 47 North Chrome Avenue.
Okay. Hearing that, I see no one. Hear no one. Close the public hearing. Any final questions from council? Okay, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Board Member Woolman?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Burgess?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab 5, car 683, emergency home repair grants.
Second.
Thank you, staff.
Staff recommends the CRA Board approve the resolution authorizing the allocation of grant funds to the following applicants for emergency home repairs: Mr. and Mrs. Jose Nieves, 651 Northwest 9th Street, Homestead, Florida, up to $10,000. On April 24, 2012, Council Representative recommended Mr. Nieves' application. Because he resides in the northwest quadrant of the CRA area, Mr. Nieves is eligible to receive funding up to $10,000 in emergency home repairs. On May 17, 2010, the CRA Board approved Resolution CRA 2010-05-05, creating the Residential Emergency Home Repair Grant Program. The 2012-2013 CRA budget allocates $150,000 to this program.
Okay, questions from council? Okay, we'll open the public hearing. And would like to speak on behalf of this item. Close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Board Member Woolman?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Burgess?
Yes.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Car 677, residential facade improvement grant disbursement.
CRA staff recommends the CRA Board approve the resolution authorizing the allocation of residential facade improvement grant funds to the following applicant: Melquiades Chavez, 24 Northwest 4th Avenue, Homestead, Florida, up to $10,000. On November 15, 2012, the Southwest Advisory Committee recommended the approval of the above-listed residential facade improvement grant applicant. The grant funds up to $10,000 in residential facade improvements. On May 17, 2010, the CRA Board approved Resolution CRA 2010-05-04, creating the Residential Facade Improvement Grant Program. 2012-2013 budget allocates $150,000 to this program.
Okay. Questions from council? Hearing none, I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public?
Chairman Bateman, excuse me, we need a motion, please.
I'll move it.
Second. Second. Thank you. Okay, open the public hearing. Questions from the public? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Board Member Waldman?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Burgess?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, before we adjourn, any public comment? Any final public comment?
You have enough?
One more.
I think there's one more.
We have one more, sir.
So, okay. Card number 678, Residential Landscape Grant Program.
Move it, Mayor.
Thank you. Second. Second. Staff.
CRA staff recommends the CRA Board approve the resolution authorizing the allocation of residential landscaping grant funds to the following applicants: Marqueta Chavez, 24 Northwest 4th Avenue, Homestead, Florida, up to $5,000. Jose Nieves, 651 Northwest 9th Street, Homestead, Florida, up to $5,000. On November 15, 2012, the Southwest Advisory Committee recommended the approval of the residential landscaping grant application submitted by Mr. Chavez. On April 24, 2012, a council representative recommended Mr. Nieves' application because he resides in the northwest quadrant of the CRA area. Both applicants are eligible to receive funding up to $5,000 in residential landscaping improvements. On May 17, 2010, the CRA Board approved Resolution CRA 2010-05-06, creating the Landscape Grant Program. The 2012-2013 CRA budget allocates $75,000 to this program.
Okay, thank you. Questions from council? Hearing none, I'll open the public hearing. Any questions from the public on this item? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final questions from council? Madam Clerk?
Vice Chairman Burgess?
Yes.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Board Member Waldman?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any final reports? Any reports? Okay, any questions from the public? Hearing none, motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
That's fine. Okay. We will turn this.